No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show with Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg. I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-1 victory over the Winnipeg Jets, a score that I would not say is completely reflective of the pace of the game and of the flow of the game, but ultimately the only thing that matters is that big number 4 next to the Leafs and that small number 1 next to the Jets. Gentlemen, good to see you both. I hope you've had a very pleasant last, let's say about 10 hours since we departed earlier this morning.
What's up, boys? Yeah, I would agree that this game was, if you just looked at the score, you would think that, this was a pretty one-sided game here. But the Jets held their own. And, obviously the Leafs power play did a lot of damage tonight, as did, John Tavares specifically. I still think, I don't care what anybody says, salary aside, I think John Tavares is still a top 10 center in the NHL. And that makes 2 top 10 centers that the Leafs have. So, I mean, we talked about it this morning, right, boys? Like the Leafs top 6, you got to, try to contain them. You're probably not going to keep them off the score sheet completely, but, the Jets are continuing to struggle to score goals, right? Like if you take away the Colorado game and you take away the Rangers game, this is the third 1-goal game that the Jets have had out of 5 games, right? So that's not something that you like to see. You obviously like to see how well Pierre-Luc Dubois, Cole Perfetti, and Blake Wheeler, the Jets' second line, played tonight. And obviously, we'll get into the Scheifele Connor line because Sam Gagner ended up moving up to the top line, replacing Mason Appleton after that David Kampf goal. But there was definitely a lack of offense a lack of finishing, I would say, Dave, from the Jets tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting contest, Ezzy, because, I wasn't sure. I just highlighted the comment by Brandon. It felt like a home game for the Leafs. I mean, it was, and I don't mind. I mean, I know people hate when visiting fans are there, but I will say the one thing I rather enjoy was the fact that it creates an atmosphere. It, the Leafs fans try and create a "Go Leafs Go" chant. The Jets fans get angry, gets the blood boiling, gets some excitement Saturday night. So from that angle, I enjoy it because I like the fact that it gets people animated and it gets the crowd into it. I look at it. Hockey's such a funny game, right? Jets up 1-0, and I'm not going to jump ahead too far, but that Mason Appleton miss at the one end, which could have made it 2-0.
Sure.
Well, right after that, the Leafs score to tie it 1-1 on the power play. So, it's such a game of inches in hockey, and that could have been such a momentum changer for a Winnipeg team that was coming in looking for some sort of good feeling. And if they could have built a 2-0 lead, then your crowd's already into it. And then they kind of, I'm not saying they explode after that, but they're really kind of going. And instead, there's a little bit of sag. So, I mean, overall it was a good atmosphere, and it was a good night. Sorry, I'm talking about the Moose game in Milwaukee, not the Jets game in Winnipeg.
Very clever there, Dave. I think what you see tonight is the margin of error for success for this Winnipeg Jets team. And we touched on that on Saturday, and we touched on that on some of the previous post-game shows. The margin of error for success for this Winnipeg Jets team is ultra thin. Yeah, and the Toronto Maple Leafs have a more talented roster than the Jets do, and they have better finishers right now, especially without Nikolai Ehlers in the Jets lineup, than the Jets do. So when you combine all those factors, the Jets having, being less talented, the Jets, having that thin margin for error, 1 or 2 breaks is all it takes for the opposition of the Jets to largely be successful. And a team like Toronto doesn't have to necessarily play their A game to win. The Jets do. That's the difference between, a good team or a very good team and an average team in this league. And the Jets are what they are. They are an average team that's going to be scratching and clawing all season long to be in a playoff spot. Toronto Maple Leafs, and I know that a lot of Jets fans won't necessarily like to hear this, the cold hard fact here is that the Leafs are a good team. Yeah, they haven't won in the playoffs, and we know that.
A good regular season team.
Yeah, they're a good regular season team. They haven't won.
Had to get that in there.
Yeah, they haven't won jack all in the playoffs, and it makes for amusement from all of us. But there's no question that they're a playoff team.
If the Leafs end up
debate.
Yeah, and it's not in my mind either, Drew, because if the Leafs end up missing the playoffs with Matthews, Tavares, Marner, Riley, Nylander, I mean, I can go on, all the high-priced players they have. I mean, I don't see how Kyle Dubas and Sheldon keep their job, because making the playoffs is goal number one. I mean, goal number two is obviously getting past the first round and going farther, but you're absolutely right. I mean, this Leafs team should be a shoo-in to make the playoffs.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So, you see it tonight that they don't necessarily have to be at their best. And the Jets, when the Jets have something, that's close to success, but doesn't necessarily go their way. You mentioned Appleton, Pierre-Luc Dubois hitting another piece of iron tonight, second consecutive game. I mean,
two posts tonight.
Yeah. Nate Schmidt breakaway. Not something you necessarily expected to say on a night out basis, Dave, but that's, you just see the Jets aren't able to capitalize on the opportunities. The Toronto Maple Leafs do on their opportunities, especially when they were on the power play with the 2 power play goals that we'll get into. And, lo and behold, magic potion, put it all together in the cauldron, and you end up with a 4-1 Leafs victory, Dave.
Yeah, and it's one of those situations where the Jets, I'm not going to call them a fragile team, because I actually thought they were into this game. And the one thing we haven't yet talked about, and I am not one to be like, well, this is the reason why the team lost. You lost because you didn't score enough goals. But I will say the officiating was as atrocious as I've ever seen in a National Hockey League game. And if the Josh Morrissey penalty, in quotes, is a penalty because it's a hit, if that's a penalty in the NHL, then take hitting out of the NHL. Then you're not allowed to hit anymore.
I agree.
I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to do like the whole, like, what kind of soft league is this? But I'm sorry. Like, that's a hit. That is a hit as drawn up in any game you will watch from kids playing to adults. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, that is as textbook a hit as you can lay out. And they call it interference. It just boggles the mind, and it disrupts the whole game. And the refs don't take control of the game. Like, it was abysmal. It really was. That was the word I'd use for the refereeing tonight. And again, like a lot of, I mean, look, there were missed calls. Like, you could say the DeMello hit on Marner was in the numbers. Perfetti got hit in the numbers, and they're calling penalties on Pierre-Luc Dubois. I mean, it defies logic to watch refereeing like that and to think to myself, like, I get the refs not being consistent, and if the AHL, because it's a developmental league, but this is the NHL. I mean, you have to be better than that, than the way you were. And there's no excuse for, I'm sorry, there's no excuse for those. And again, like I said, the Jets could have played differently, but the refs just, I don't know. It just felt to me like it really did play a role in changing the way that game.
Do you know when officiating improves in the NHL?
Yeah, the playoffs, of course.
No. I meant like when, like, what is the reason why officiating will improve?
Yeah,
it'll improve when ownership decides that they want, and I'm talking about not ownership in Winnipeg, but all owners in the NHL, because they're the ones writing ultimately writing the checks to the officials, when they decide that they want officiating to be better than the current standard. That's when it improves. I mean,
I think teams and owners like power plays. That's what I think they like. And
sure. Well, it artificially increases the scoring.
Exactly. So they like goals. They like, and obviously tonight the Leafs scored a couple power play goals, right? So I think you're right. But I also think that, when you look at what happened towards the end of the first period, right? I'm talking about Neil Pionk and Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner was clearly upset. You know what? I mean, we could get the debate going in the chat here. I don't know if that's a penalty. Like, I guess it would have been Dave boarding or elbowing. Like, to me, that wasn't a penalty. But obviously, Mitch Marner had, the marks and the blood on his face, and he wasn't happy. Like, Marner's a smaller player, and I'm not, picking on his size. I'm only 5'9" myself, right? Like, so I'm not a big guy either. But the point is that, as a kind of smaller player, we know that Marner is a guy that, he takes some abuse, right? And even though Pionk's not the tallest guy either, Pionk can lay the body. But to me, that was just kind of finishing a check. Was it borderline boarding? Maybe. That's just me. I didn't think I was a penalty. And my point is, Drew, I feel like the refs were almost making up for that. Well, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but you almost think that the reason why they were blowing the whistle so much in the second period was because they felt guilty that, Mitch Marner, didn't get his penalty call towards the end of the first period. I think that's ridiculous, but that's what, it kind of seemed like to me.
Well, look, we've been talking about the way players now go into the boards for 15 years since we started the show. When we used to watch hockey, Jets 1.0 era, even after the team left, you would never put yourself in a vulnerable position when you were trying to retrieve a puck. Now they do it every game. That's how they're taught. So when that hit happens, and that hit happens a dime a dozen, because initially it's going to be a regular body check. It's going to be a normal body check. But at the last minute, Marner puts himself into that vulnerable position. And that's how they're taught nowadays. That's how all the players happen. We see it game in and game out.
You do see it almost every night. I agree with you. It's not like something you only see once every 2 weeks. You see it a lot.
Yeah, it happens. It happens absolutely all the time. There's no question about it. And it's a problem that the league doesn't want to address. So if the league doesn't want to address it, that's why you end up with situations like you ended up with tonight. And that's incumbent on the league to decide if they want it that way. Right now, they clearly don't. So that's the way it's going to continue to be.
One thing I want to throw out there, too, we talked about Pierre-Luc Dubois. I know you want to get into his opening goal, Drew. To me, the game was kind of summed up on the power play, Dave, in that third period. Forget who got the penalty for the Leafs in the third period. It was Wayne Simmons. On Scheifele. I thought, him ringing the one off the post, it was when Scheifele actually, he was the original target and it went by him, and then Dubois winded up a slapper, Dave, and hit the post on that power play. Like, to me, that just kind of summed up the game. Like, Dubois had a fantastic game, maybe his best game of the young season so far, but that was kind of just, to me, like, a couple inches, that puck's in the net, right? Or an inch, and that puck's in the net. So that the Jets it wasn't a lack of chances, and it wasn't a lack of effort, to be honest with you. Like, look at Mason Appleton. I think, Dave, you'd agree, after the David Kampf goal, when he got caught up with, I forget who it was there. It might have been Wayne Simmons, if I'm not mistaken, because that was the fourth line, right? They got the Leafs second goal. After that, I think that was kind of the catalyst for Mason Appleton moving down, and then Sam Gagner moving up to the top line with Scheifele and Connor. But I mean, I thought overall, like, the Jets' effort was good. Like, you're going up against a really good Leafs team, right? And a Leafs team that's similar to the Jets has kind of started off just kind of half decent, right? 3-2. I guess they're 4-2 now. But I just thought, overall, it was that kind of lack of execution. And look at Ilya Samsonov, guys. We talked about it going into this game, just under 930 save percentage. I mean, in the third period, he was giving that puck up. Like, he was I don't know what he was doing. He was looking, like he's not a guy that's very comfortable playing the puck. So that it was bobbling around, and the Jets were having opportunities. I thought Neil Pionk had another really strong game. So did Josh Morrissey on the back end. Like, I thought Logan Stanley actually had a good bounce back game, Dave. He looked really, strong at even strength, and when he was getting some special teams opportunities. So, I mean, I think the Jets were just beat by a better Leafs team. And, I hate to say it, Drew just mentioned it, but there just wasn't that finish. And, it was kind of like that, so close, but, just not good enough.
You're absolutely right. So before we get into the Betway game recap, because that's coming up momentarily, we remind you that you can enter into the Illegal Curve contest. We give away merchandise, great Jets merchandise, jerseys, sweatshirts, hats, t-shirts, everything under the sun. We give that away after each and every Winnipeg Jets game on the Illegal Curve post-game show. So the way to enter the contest, again, at the bottom in the description of the show, and if you're watching on your phone, you might have to X out of the chat, and then you go to the drop-down arrow, and you'll see it there. There's a link to enter the Illegal Curve contest. And there's a whole bunch of things you can do to enter the contest. You can do one of those things and get one entry. You can do all of those things and get multiple entries. It's entirely up to you how many of the tasks you need to complete in order to enter the contest. The secret word, it's not that much of a secret as long as you're watching this post-game show. You tune into the Illegal Curve post-game show, the secret word just becomes a word. It's not even a secret, but you got to be watching in order to get that secret word, and you enter that in for some bonus entries to get into the draw for the great merchandise. Today's secret word is rivalry. Put it up there on the screen right there, all caps, one word. Rivalry is the secret word to enter into the Illegal
Finally
Curve
a good secret word.
merch. I thought Dave's Vegas one of Sin City was pretty good, but
Yeah,
in any event,
that's obvious,
rivalry is
I'm going to start picking the words.
No, you're not. Rivalry is the secret word.
Definitely not.
For tonight's Illegal Curve contest. Enter that in. You'll look in the description. You'll see the link. It's right there. Find the show description. If you can't find the show description on YouTube, go to our website, illegalcurve.com. It's right there in the morning papers. It's front row center. Click that link. Do the tasks, do one of the tasks, do all the tasks, and you will be entered to win some great merchandise here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. Today's secret word is rivalry. Let's get into the game recap. It's brought to you by our friends at Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options and sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. Fifth game for the Winnipeg Jets this year. They've scored the opening goal in 4 of those 5 games. Pierre-Luc Dubois at the 4:17 mark of the first period, as his second of the season, assist to Cole Perfetti and Blake Wheeler. And the barn is jumping early, Dave M., as Dubois gets the Jets on the board at that 4:17 mark.
Yeah, and I'm with Ezzy on his comment. I think that Pierre-Luc Dubois, throughout the course of the game, I know you want to focus on the goal, Drew, but throughout the course of the game, I think that was as engaged as we've seen him in a hockey game. And maybe he gets up for Toronto. Maybe he's excited at, there's a lot of media in town. There's a lot of folks. There's a lot of eyes on, suddenly there's stories being written about Winnipeg. I was going to the various national news things. I was like, wow, there's 10 stories. I mean, really, it wasn't. It was more because the Jets, who they were playing, of course, but, and I do find it curious that there is this crazy. I mean, I know Sheldon Keefe said that because they were in the All-Canadian division 2 years ago and they played each other so much, that created this sort of disdain for each other. But it is rather unusual, given they've only played each other twice a year, that these two teams seem to have that, this disdain for each other, this dislike, the fact that, they need to put Wayne Simmons and Kyle Clifford into the lineup for, to add some heaviness. Because of course the Jets.
Yeah, it was Morgan Riley that fought Morrissey.
Yeah, exactly, Ezzy. But so look, I think Pierre-Luc Dubois was just what you wanted to see out of him. Like, I mean, he was physical. He was kind of nasty, and he was creating opportunities both for himself and for his line mates. So that first goal, Drew. I mean, it was just a nice pass by Cole Perfetti over to Dubois, and then Dubois buried his own rebound. So. I mean, that's one of the things we got to see from this Jets club is the fact that they have a willingness to go to those tough areas, the front of the net, and take some contact, but at least try and get those rebounds. And that was a good rebound for Pierre-Luc Dubois to pick up. And like I said, that really got the home crowd. Some of the home crowd, I don't know the exact. Someone asked me, they said, "What would you estimate the percentage was?" And I don't know, but when the warm up was taking place, there were a lot of Leafs jerseys. So I don't know the exact number of, although it was a sellout. I believe someone said it was a sellout. So that's the first sellout of the season. And the first sellout, I guess they didn't have one last year in a couple of years. But it got the building going. It got everybody going. And like I said, the atmosphere was already kind of good. But that brought fans to their kind of, the Jets fans were like, that's what they needed to see from the home side. So they were excited. And
just a few quick things on that first Jets goal, Drew. Second game in a row that Dubois gets his own rebound, right, Dave? And also, what I love, there's a few things I love about this goal. We talked about it this morning when we were at the rink, talking about the importance of the second line, and that was going to be one of the lines we keyed in on. I love Blake Wheeler's drive to the net there. I originally actually, when I was watching the game live, I wasn't at the rink like you were, Dave. Obviously, you know that, but people watching don't. thought it was going to be credited to Wheeler. I thought he deposited Dubois' rebound, and then on the replay, you could obviously see that it was Dubois that scored the goal. So I love that Wheeler was driving the net there, and I love the pass from Perfetti, right? And you've talked about this a lot, going back to his time with the Moose, and then obviously before that in the OHL. He's got great vision, and I think that's really what you want to see. That line has the speed, and they can really space out the opposing team's defense, right? You can really see, the potential of this line. They're really only scratching the surface. So I just wanted to get that in there. Dubois, again, he was hungry tonight. Looking at his stat line, 4 shots on net, 4 hits, got a couple posts, which obviously don't count as shots on net, but that's what you like to see. I agree with what Dave said there. Dubois, you want him contributing offensively and creating offense, but you also want him when he's at his best. He's getting engaged. Not only is he getting under the skin of the opposing team, he's laying body checks, and he's giving his best effort. So he really stood out to me, and I thought Wheeler had a really strong game. And if you look at just looking at the advanced stats, Wheeler, Dubois, they were right up there amongst the top Jets in terms of even strength possession. And they were both out there for, I believe, over 4 minutes of power play time, right? So even though, the Jets didn't, have any goals to show for their power plays, I thought they were both effective. So even though you don't get the win, and I realize the Jets, they have a couple of losses in a row here. I mean, you got to love the fact that these guys stepped up, especially with Nick Ehlers out of the lineup. So I think, for me, that was easily the Jets' best. The second line was easily the Jets' best line tonight.
The Leafs tied the game up about 5 minutes later at the 9:56 mark of the second period. John Tavares on the power play, his second of the season, first of the game, assist to William Nylander and Austin Matthews. And it's 1-1 after 20 minutes as a result of this Tavares goal.
And, again, so as I already spoke about earlier in the show, that's one of those situations where Appleton misses the open net. Could have been 2-0. Instead, Leafs come down. They're on the power play. But the amazing / unfortunate / again, hockey is a game of inches, is that David Gustafsson almost has that puck. There are a number of Jets players who almost had that puck, were almost able to get it out, but almost isn't good enough. It's not like close. Close is good in horseshoes. It's not so good in hockey. And they don't get the puck because it really was an open puck, on the far side of the boards. And yet none of the Jets get it. It ends up with the Leafs. And, when Tavares has some time and space, he's going to do what he does. He's still an excellent hockey player, and he ties the game. And that took the wind out of the sails of, well, like I said, some of the fans in the building, not necessarily all of them. There were quite a vocal group of Leafs fans. And like I said, I kind of enjoyed it was funny because when I walked in at just before 5:00, the concourse was full. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, why are there so many people? And it's Leafs fans, Leafs jerseys, and you could just see people were excited. There was a lot
talked about it in on this morning's show. It's always, for better or worse, there's always a little extra buzz in the building when an original 6 team comes, and particularly when the Leafs come, because of so many people love to hate Toronto, and you feel it reverberates through the arena as you're saying, Dave.
Yeah, but anyways, like I said, so that's just one of those game of inches that, the Jets, the puck doesn't go their way and the Leafs take advantage. And like I said, they've got so many talented, as Ezzy, I should say, said earlier, there's so many talented forwards on that team that can just burn you when they have an opportunity. And that's what happened. And suddenly the Jets found themselves, instead of being up 2-0, tied 1-1.
There you go. Leafs take the lead. It's the game-winning goal, David Kampf, 14:34 mark of the second period. So the second period is almost scoreless all the way through 3/4 of it. Like I said, Kampf, his second assist to Wayne Simmons and Clifford. Simmons and Clifford both, of course, getting their into the game, their game action for the season as a result of their heavy play and their truculence, and it pays off. The hunch pays off for Sheldon Keefe as they both get assists on what turns out to be the game-winning goal.
Yeah, and we kind of touched on it a little bit there. There was a little bit of interference coming from Wayne Simmons on that goal. And look, this is a situation where I believe it was 3-on-3. So it's not like the Jets were caught out of position or anything like that. It was just, to me, like a little bit of blown coverage, right? Like, puck starts in the Leaf zone. Appleton falls down, so obviously takes him out of the play. Clifford just kind of does a between the legs pass to David Kampf, and he's just kind of easily walks in there and he's not really picked up. Nobody lifts his stick. Nobody gets a body on him. I believe it was Logan Stanley and Dylan DeMello who were the D pairing out there. But you could argue that was a penalty on Wayne Simmonds. But that's the Jets' top line versus the Leafs' fourth line there. So you don't like to see that.
No, you don't want to give up a goal in that situation. Look, every game, for the most part, you can discuss officiating and you can point out here and you can point out there. And was it egregious at times tonight? No question about it. But like I said off the beginning of the broadcast, when the NHL and when the owners in the NHL decide they want better officiating, they'll show out the dough and they'll find a way to pay for better officiating. But they only want to pay what they want to pay, so you end up with inconsistencies and you end up with games like this where it doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason.
Drew. That's a tough one. Like Dave, I want to get you in here, but like to me, that could have gone either way, right? Like that's either incidental contact. Obviously, or you're calling interference on Wayne Simmonds there. But I mean, to me, that's like one of those borderline calls. I could have easily seen it called. And obviously Jets fans were not happy about that. That's kind of a tough one for the ref.
Sorry, I had to mute myself, boys. We were so conscientious about muting ourselves during the morning show because we had such close proximity. I feel so far away from you guys. I feel so removed, even though I'm literally 15 feet above Ezzy. But look, I think that it's one of those situations where you look at the game and it was so close, right? Like, I mean, especially in that second period, you're sitting there and it appeared that the Jets had some momentum, but they just weren't able to build on it, right? And that was one of the things, because every time they seemed to punch, Toronto punched back. And look, it was kind of an unfortunate one for Connor Hellebuyck just because of the way the puck sat there, and then they were able to he wasn't sure where it was, and they found it and obviously deposited behind him. But I mean, that's just one of those goals, and you don't love to see it, but it's a scramble, and that's what ends up happening.
Then 3-1. This comes late in the second period. It sort of feels like a real solid body blow at this point in time to go down 3-1 before the second period ends. John Tavares, his third of the year, his second of the game, also on the power play. This is with Pierre-Luc Dubois in the box for roughing, assist to Austin Matthews and Rasmus Sandin. And nobody, look, the fury you could read about Pierre-Luc Dubois and his thoughts on the officiating post game when he was asked about officiating. He was asked about what he felt about it, and he says that you can see him like he's basically chewing glass and trying to answer the question, and he just says that he doesn't want to get fined. So you can tell that he did not appreciate the officiating decisions that were made tonight, and this would be another one that he would definitely stick in his craw and not appreciate, as it turns out to be the 3-1 goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs late in the second period.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we need to touch on it anymore, guys. We already kind of talked about how suspect the officiating was, and I'm definitely not going to disagree with PLD. But I mean, this one, it's just a beautiful tip. We talked about Matthews and Tavares, and Matthews obviously has the shot from the point. It's a beautiful tip. I think Dylan DeMello was probably a little bit high there. I thought DeMello had a uncharacteristic kind of weaker game, actually. And I mean, it's easy for me to say, you're going up against one of the best offensive teams in the league, but that's just a really nice tip from Tavares. And when the Leafs are on the power play, we know Dave mentioned it earlier. I talked about it. There's a lot of really good weapons there. So it's just a nice goal. And even though the penalty against Dubois might have been a soft one, I mean, you got to give the Leafs credit for taking advantage. I mean, they're gonna take the power play every day, right? So, I mean, look, Tavares. I mean, he basically won the game single-handedly tonight. And on that particular goal, I mean, you're obviously not going to fault Hellebuyck. That's a beautiful tip. Doesn't have a lot of chance, but I would say, the defensive coverage again, a little bit too much room out there. And DeMello was a little bit high.
Leafs wrap up the scoring. It's an empty net goal. Michael Bunting at the 17:23 mark of the third period. Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews with the assists after the Jets have, tried to get back in the game in the third period. Have probably outplayed Toronto in the third period, outshot them certainly 12-5. They've pulled Connor Hellebuyck. They're trying to cut the lead from 3-1 to 3-2. The puck gets past, I believe it was Josh Morrissey, if I'm not mistaken, and Bunting skates in and backhands it off the far post and in to wrap up the scoring and to send the Leafs Nation, both the players and those who cheer for the team, home with a very satisfying 4-1 victory over the Winnipeg Jets.
You're not looking for me to give analysis on an empty net goal, I hope.
You can just give analysis in general. No, I wasn't really expecting a ton of analysis on an empty net goal. It's, I was waiting for you just to say something, to be perfectly honest.
Okay. I was just looking at you. I'm like, I really hope he doesn't want me to talk about that empty net goal. Cause like, why the hell am I going to, I'll talk about Brad Lambert's empty net goal if you want tonight, but I'm not going to
You can talk about the Moose later.
I'm not going to talk about Michael Bunning's empty net goal. Look, it's, Rick Bowness talked about it in the post game. I saw some of his comments talking about the adversity. That's what he does. He tries to bring the team together, and he's got this us against the world mentality, and that's the way we're going to do it. That's his mentality is, we're going to play against everyone else. It's a tough schedule, and we talked about it. We said that this is a Jets team that, they were 2-2. Now they're 2-3, 2-3-0, and it's not going to get any easier on Monday when you play the St. Louis Blues. So you're going to have to just kind of flush this one, and you can't lament it because, nobody cries for you. Nobody, your fans do, of course, but nobody in the NHL.
I cry for you, Dave.
Yeah. Well, you would all, yeah, I appreciate that, Ezzy, of course.
Avita, Ezzy, Avita, it's basically the same thing. He also cries for Argentina when every now and then as well.
Exactly.
I've always wanted to visit Argentina.
Okay. Well, it is a country that welcomes tourism, I'm sure, so you can head there if you like.
Yeah.
There you go.
Great soccer nation. Looks like a beautiful country. Hopefully I get to go there one day.
Pretty sure they just put out a ban on Ezra Ginsburg.
I'm pretty sure the country just disbanded. In fact, they just locked their borders permanently at the possibility of you getting a passport and going there.
Anyways, I agree with Corey though. Hit that smash button, folks. Smash that like button, folks, because this is the second IC show. I couldn't think about. I walked into my press box seat. I looked down. I said, I was just there like not that long ago. But so we love doing the shows, but you gotta comment and do all of those things. We appreciate that. And hey, sometimes you win great prizes, and that's always a good thing as well. So, Drew, you're looking for a jump in here?
I was going to jump in and just say that, as we wrap up the game recap, the Betway game recap has been brought to you by, of course, Betway, official sponsor, title sponsor of the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's simple, fun, and safe to bet with Betway. So head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. Again, that code word where you enter that, you find the link. It's in the show description. It's on our website.
Under note 2.
Under note 2 on the illegalcurve.com. If you go into the morning papers, you'll see it there. The secret code word for tonight's contest is rivalry. You take that code word, you enter it in where you follow the link in the description on the website, and then you are entered in and you get ballots and you get entries and you get more entries and you get more entries. We're going to give away some more great Jets gear after Monday's game, where, of course, Monday the Jets back to wrap up the short 2-game homestand against the St. Louis Blues. So put in rivalry now. Then you might be able to win a prize after Monday's post-game show. But Dave, we have a winner for tonight's post-game show who has won the IC contest so this would be the contest that began sort of after Thursday's game in Vegas, and then it wrapped up not too long ago, probably around puck drop for tonight's game. Who is the winner of the IC contest?
The winner is from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Robert Paul.
Paul.
Yes.
Congratulations.
So
can't go wrong with 2 first names.
That's right. Exactly. So Robert Paul, congratulations. You are the winner of the Illegal Curve contest. I will send you an email, and then I will send you out some Jets gear, whether it's a jersey, a hat, a t-shirt. There's all sorts of things to win. Probably send you a jersey. Actually, we're flipping out the jerseys to start the season. We got a lot of them. So you're probably going to get a jersey from me, Robert Paul. So expect that email. Hopefully you're listening in the chat, and maybe you'll see you, make a comment. But congratulations on winning the Illegal Curve contest.
There you go. You all can also be like Robert. Just follow that link in the show description and on our website, and you might be the winner. But we're also going to give away a Tough Duck toque. We'll do that after the break. Much more to come, much more on the Jets and the Leafs. We'll look ahead to Monday and the Jets and the St. Louis Blues. Don't go anywhere, friends. It is the Illegal Curve post-game show with Dave Minuk, with Ezra Ginsburg. I'm your host, Drew Mandel. We're live on a Saturday night on YouTube and all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
There's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. The clock strikes 9:30 in the evening. We've been at this, we started this day off at 9 a.m., so it certainly is a bit of a long day for us, but we do it for all of you, our fans who join us each and every Saturday morning, and again after each and every Winnipeg Jets game. We'll be back at it Monday after the Jets and the Blues, so post-game should be right around 9:45 or so, give or take a couple minutes on either side. You know how to do it. Game ends, you get it on your computer, maybe you're in the car and you boot us up on the Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto, whatever device you have, however you find us after each and every Jets game. You know,
I prefer the Motorola Razr myself.
Okay,
Drew,
well,
that's what Phyllis is doing right now. Drew, Phyllis was at a gathering. She's listening to us while she's driving, not texting and driving, but she's listening to us while driving. So, I mean, there you go. People make it happen.
Look,
Phyllis, aka the Queen of Morden.
well, Phyllis knows Phyllis knows what's up. Phyllis is one of our loyal followers, loyal fans who's joining us here all the time, post game Saturday mornings, like so many of you, and we appreciate it, and that's why we do it night in and night out. But thank you to Phyllis, of course, for tuning us in wherever she may be, wherever you may be. I know there's people in. I mean, John Chan is here. I think he's in Singapore, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
There was somebody.
We're huge in Singapore.
Yes, I think there was somebody
Massive.
this morning. Watching us from Australia, if I'm not mistaken. We're worldwide. You know,
Down under.
Pitbull.
Drew, you know the toilets
stole-
flush the other way down there.
That's what I heard. You know, Pitbull actually stole that from me. I was the original Mr. Worldwide, but I said to Pitbull one day, I say, Pitt, you know, you got this career that's going to take off. You can be Mr. Worldwide. I'll just be Mr. Mindell. It's a, you know, I just
You really are Mr. Worldwide. You've been all over you've been to Colombia.
I have been to Colombia. In fact, I was having a conversation yesterday afternoon. I was at a luncheon and I was talking to a gentleman who had also been to Colombia, and we got to share some stories about our travels to Cartagena and Bogota. And no, it was not for any illicit purposes. It was for a tourism tourist interest sort of thing. And my wife and I went to Bogota and Cartagena for our honeymoon. In fact, not that anyone needs to know about that. And we're still married, so you know, 2 for 2 for us there. Gentlemen, you know, look, this is a difficult defeat for the Winnipeg Jets. They now drop under 500 for the first time this year, and it doesn't get any easier on Monday night against the St. Louis Blues. The St. Louis Blues team, I should point out, that shut down the Edmonton Oilers, shut out Connor McDavid, shut out Leon Draisaitl, shut out the firepower that is in Northern Alberta, and now they come to town on Monday to face a Winnipeg Jets team that, lo and behold, doesn't score goals very often. So it'll be a difficult uphill battle for the Jets as they try to not let the losing continue to snowball. You don't want a 2-game losing streak to become 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. So it should be a great battle on Monday. Another 2 Central Division rivals.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to break down the power play in a ton of detail here, but maybe that's something we can do on the Saturday show, especially if, you know, the power play continues to struggle. But that was one of those games, guys, to me at least, that the power play let them down because, you know, there were chances. Like we talked about Pierre-Luc Dubois, you know, ringing it off the iron. Like the Jets had some good looks. Kyle Connor, I mean, I think, you know, Connor is a guy whose goals are going to come. Like Connor's not going to go from a 47 goal scorer to a 20 goal scorer, guys. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, he had some decent looks, some decent chances here. He's just not, the bounces aren't just going his way, as the cliche saying goes, right? I think it's not a lack of skill. Not having Nick Ehlers definitely, you know, gives you one less option with the extra man. But, you know, like I think, you know, the Jets have to start getting some production on the power play. Like when the Jets in 2017, 18, 19, when they were, you know, going to the West Final, and probably those were the best years of the Jets 2.0. I mean, they just absolutely fed off of the power play, right? Like, and I thought this was one of those games where they just couldn't seem to buy a goal out there with the extra man. So, you know, Scheifele, Connor, Wheeler, Perfetti, Dubois. I mean, we know Gagne's out there. I think actually Sam Gagne, Dave, has looked really good on the power play. I mean, we know Gagne can kill penalties, and Gagne's on the second power play unit, of course. But I've really liked, you know, the element, you know, and there's been movement, right? Like it hasn't been stale, it hasn't been stagnant, and the Leafs have an aggressive penalty kill, right? Like again, we're not going to break down the Leafs penalty kill here, but you know, the Leafs, you know, they chase the puck around out there. So, you know, the Jets' goals will come. I'm not worried about it. I don't think the Jets are going to have like a bottom 5 power play once the season is over. But early on through the first 5 games, the power play has, I think, left a lot to be desired.
I would agree. Look, if you're having trouble scoring 5-on-5, 5-on-4 is a pretty good way to try and get some goals to compensate for.
Well, and that's why I said that, right? Like in a game like this where, you know, they weren't getting a lot of offense. Like we talked about, you know, the Dubois line with Perfetti and Wheeler was arguably the Jets' best line. I would say it was definitely the Jets' best line. You know, the fourth line wasn't playing a lot tonight. And the third line obviously wasn't creating a lot of offense either. So especially in a game, like you said, Drew, when you're not, you know, getting a lot of chances 5-on-5, the power play's got to come through for at least a goal.
It would certainly have gone a long way for the Winnipeg Jets and their success tonight had they been able to do so. They weren't able to do so. Back to the drawing board again, and they have another chance on Monday to try and get off the schneid, to try and get the good vibes going in terms of goal scoring, because one goal, it ain't going to cut it. And, getting 2 goals in Vegas, well, guess what? You got those 2 goals after you're already down 4-0. And then the 1 goal earlier in the week against Dallas, not going to cut it. And you beat the New York Rangers. Yeah, you beat them, but you only beat them by getting, 2 or 3 goals. And one of them was into an empty net, if I'm not mistaken. So again, goal scoring has been hard to come by for the Jets, Dave. And you wonder when the other shoe is going to drop and this team can start to put some pucks in the net, or if something's going to need a roster move is going to need to occur to get them going. I think it's not going to happen that quickly, but you begin to wonder if the goal scoring struggles continue, is that the option that the Jets look to explore?
To quote, I think it was Elaine Bennis, get well soon. We want you to get well. I think they may be singing that song wherever Nikolai Ehlers is in order to speed along his healing and hope that whatever is bothering him will not bother him past the game on Monday, because we've talked about this before the season began. We talked about this in the summer. We talked about it in training camp. The lack of depth from this Jets club in terms of scoring. We know that they can score, and when you don't have Connor scoring, that's a problem. When you don't have, some of these guys going, that's a problem. But Nikolai Ehlers is going to be such a catalyst for this Jets team that without him, it really does create a big, big hole. And like I said, Mason Appleton can fill in, but Mason Appleton on a really good hockey team is paired alongside Adam Lowry, and he's playing penalty kill, and he's playing that role in the third line, and he's being defensively responsible. And maybe they're holding the other teams, one of the team's top 2 lines from scoring. But like I said, you're not really looking to him for a tremendous amount of offense. And so the missing of Nikolai Ehlers is not to be understated. And I'm not going to say, but as he mentioned on the show this morning, right? What happened to the Jets when they lost Ehlers for 19 games after the knee he took against the Capitals last year, right? The season went, right. Well, you're losing an elite talent, and an elite talent that you've now made the decision to be your first line winger, right? And to play the most minutes and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of expectations on Nikolai Ehlers, but the Jets are going to need him because of all the reasons we've talked about. And that is just a lack of true depth up, as a scoring team from their forward group.
And I wouldn't be surprised. Sorry, Drew, I was just going to quickly say, I wouldn't be surprised if Rick Bowness and the coaching staff goes back to Mason Appleton on the top line, because really, we talked about it. Like, what are your options here? Your option is elevate Blake Wheeler back to that spot. And we've seen Scheifele, Connor, and Wheeler, guys. I know it sounds ridiculous to say Scheifele, Connor, Wheeler is the Jets' top line, but that's the option. Or as we saw in game when Sam Gagner was elevated to the top line, the right wing, those are your options there. And obviously with Gagner there, you wonder, is he the right fit there? You saw some burst there, and I mentioned, he looked really good on the power play, even though the Jets didn't score. But I might be wrong here, and maybe the chat disagrees with me, but it's only one game. Ehlers is most likely going to be back for the game on Thursday against its LA Thursday, right? And then Arizona on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll see. But this is a big game. You're not going to say it's a must-win game, but you also don't want to lose a third game in a row. We talk about it all the time. 2 games in a row happens all the time. Good teams do not lose 3 games in a row. You don't want to start the season off here 2-4.
You're absolutely right, Dave. We were live on location earlier this morning at Canada Life Center doing the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We're next going to be live on location. Where and when? Tell the good folks where they can see us live and in person and in the flesh to make sure we are human and not just animatronic YouTube characters.
Well, on November 5th and 6th, Drew, I'm assuming you're talking about our appearance at the Winnipeg Ice Fishing Show at the Red River X Place. So many different things that you're going to be able to see and do and experience. You're going to be able to hear some great speakers. And they have all sorts of gear, lures and shacks. And it's just going to be an incredible experience for fans. You can come, bring your kids at 12 and under, get in for free. Charge for adults is only $10, so it's relatively inexpensive to be able to come and see some of the premier folks in this province who are focused on ice fishing. And it's funny, I'm more of a traditional fisherman. I have ice fished, not super successfully in my life, but I do watch a lot of ice fishing videos. So YouTube videos, I should say. A lot of great Manitobans who are doing some really cool things. Clayton, I've mentioned it before, but Clayton Schick Outdoors, and of course, Aaron Weeb, aka Uncut Angling, and Jay Siemens. He's a Kenora guy, but he does a lot of fishing in Manitoba. So we'll give a shout out to him. And I believe those three guys will also all be in attendance at the ice fishing show on November 5th and 6th at Red River X Place, as will Illegal Curve doing our show from 9 till 11 on the 5th, which is a Saturday. And we're going to be giving out some cool prizes from our friends at Seagram's, maybe some Tough Duck toques, maybe some IC gear, maybe some Jets gear. We got lots of stuff, maybe some secret stuff that Ezzy and Drew don't even know about. There's going to be lots to give away. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that'll be us on November 5th and 6th. We won't be there for the 5th and 6th. Maybe we will. Who knows? I'm going to have some tickets to give away as well in the next couple of days. But yeah, that'll be a lot of fun at the Winnipeg Ice Fishing Show. See you there.
Looking forward to that. That'll be a fun event now, and of course, other live on location events possibly in the near future. We'll keep you abreast of all those developments. Ezzy, Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. Who's getting a toque courtesy of our friends at Tough Duck?
Well, first off, a lot of great comments tonight. So thanks everybody for tuning in with us tonight. Early game. And also this morning, we're going to give it to JetBoy59. His comment, you got it up there. I sent it to you in the private chat there. Jets need to seriously work on bouncing on those rebounds and get them in the net. Also, they just need to just shoot and not cycle as much as they do. I just like that comment because obviously, he's referring to the lack of goal scoring, not only tonight, but the last few games. And I think he's right. We talk about it all the time, and it is a cliche in hockey, but even though you've got a lot of skilled players out there, when you're struggling to score goals, sometimes it's all about straight lines. And look at the goal that Pierre-Luc Dubois scored.
Simplify the game.
Well, look. The Jets come over the line. It's a 3-on-3, even strength situation. Perfetti, catches, Dubois with a nice cross ice pass. Wheeler heads to the net. Dubois shoots it on net, picks up his own rebound. Samsonov gave a big rebound up. He puts the rebound in. Hockey can be complex. Hockey can be simple. And, sometimes you have to just go to the net, put the puck on net, go to the net, drive the net. So JetBoy59, send me an email, ezra@illegalcurve.com, or slide into my DMs, ICSEG. Rob Mahoney is still owed a toque. So, Rob, I don't know how to get a hold of you. So you better send me a DM or email me, ezra@illegalcurve.com, because we got a Tough Duck toque waiting for you as well. So JetBoy59 wins tonight, and Rob Mahoney, I think it was the game against Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, that Rob won.
There you go. Get your toques courtesy of our friends at Tough Duck, because winter is coming. And I'm not speaking, was that Game of Thrones? Is that where that reference is from? Okay, there you go.
I haven't watched Game of Thrones. Apparently it's awesome, but I've never watched it.
I've never watched it either. Rob
is saying awesome is not doesn't do it justice, but the books, and by the way, the books kill the shows. The shows are incredible, but the books are incredible, just next level good.
Rob says he emailed you, Ezzy. Rob, if Ezzy didn't get the email, maybe just send him a DM on Twitter. That might be easier. Who knows what's going on?
I'll check my email though, Rob. It's possible, it goes to. I'm a communications coordinator for Hockey Manitoba, so I understand how I email all day long. So I'll check my junk, but we want to get that toque out to you, Rob.
There you go. Very, very reasonable. And, want to say a big thank you, of course, to Tough Duck. A big thank you to Betway for being the title sponsor here of the Illegal Curve post-game show. We want to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg. Big thank you to all these fine businesses for their continued support of Illegal Curve.
Running Man wants it. Give it to
Dave M, are you ready for it? Can you
give it to him, Drew?
Can you keep it short?
Get him, Drew.
Can you keep it tight tonight?
I'll keep it short.
Okay, you're gonna just a little one. I know you get excited. Keep it tight, folks. Here you go. We'll wrap up the post-game show with the best way possible.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Hey, it's time for a Minuk Moose Minute. Who would have thunk it? Thank you for, I guess I would have thunk it, but I appreciate the chat lobbying to get into Manuk Moose Minute, making sure we shoehorned one in and we give the Moose the credit they deserve because they went into Milwaukee. They're playing 3-3 last night.
Milwaukee.
In Milwaukee. Last night they played in Chicago and won. Today they played Milwaukee, who, as folks will remember, they played 17 times last year, 12 in the regular season, 5 in the playoffs. Those two teams didn't like each other. Nicholas Jones fought someone within 2 minutes of puck drop. So the feelings are still there. The juice is still flowing from those battles that they had in the playoffs. These two teams don't like each other based on how many times they faced each other last year and obviously the playoffs, but things got off to a good start for the Moose. Declan Chisholm, a nice goal on the power play. So he opened the scoring for Manitoba. And then guess who scored? Guess who, Ezzy? Jansen Harkins, because that's what he's doing right now.
3-3.
The Moose are playing 3-3, and Jansen Harkins has 3-3. He's got 3 goals since he's been sent down to the Moose, and his 3 games that he's played so far, he opened up the second period with a goal to make it 2-0. Milwaukee got one back to make it 2-1, but then that's as close as they got. Jeff Malott made it a 3-1 game. He kind of buried a Leon Gavanke shot that went off the backboard. Sometimes you always wonder if they do it intentionally because that's where the lane is, and then the puck kicks back. Jeff Malott, big boy, standing in front. He puts that home. That was his first of the year. Brad Lambert, I highlighted on Twitter so people can see it, but he did very Nikolai Ehlers, like whirling around on the, you can see his skill on the power play as he's circling, looking for opportunities. So he actually had just done that just before the Moose scored to make it 3-1. And then, another really hard worker, Christian Reichel, he got his second of the season with a nice little bit of work. I think Alex Limoges probably had his third assist of the game. They haven't credited him. Actually, it was Ashton Sautner, the Manitoban, Ezzy from Flin Flon, your dad's neck of the woods.
Absolutely.
Where he got his first assist for the Moose. But Christian Reichel made it 4-1. Then they made it 4-2. I'm forgetting about, of course, Arvid Holm. Big critical play in the second period. 2-1. They had just given up a power play goal to the Admirals. And then Arvid Holm made a big penalty kill stop. And then he did a huge flurry of saves in the second period. So that was really good for Arvid Holm and his confidence. So that was nice for him. And then who else but Brad Lambert finishes it off, the 2022 first rounder. He makes it a 5-2 game, which ends it for the Moose on the empty net goal. But again, showed off his wheels. You don't get too excited in empty net goals, Drew, but it was still nice for him to be able to end it. And so the Moose have now won 3 games in a row, and they're feeling good about themselves. And they are 3-0-1 on the season. So good times for the Manitoba Moose, and they're going to go into Rockford to finish this road trip tomorrow, and they're going to look to keep things rolling. And I know that some people in the chat, I'm not watching because we're doing this post-game show, but I believe the Winnipeg Ice are also up as they're looking to finish off their little bit of a road trip, their 8-game road trip, and in style. So they've got, I think, a 2-1 lead or a 3-2 lead. Sorry. So that's good for the Ice if they can hang on. It's a lot. The pro teams of Winnipeg and the junior team of Winnipeg, they're doing okay. Not the Jets so much, but the Moose, the Ice, they're rolling. So hey, if you're upset by the Jets right now, folks, remember there's plenty of exciting hockey in this province that isn't just the Jets. You can go watch the Moose games. You can go watch the Ice. If you're in Brandon, you can go watch the Wheat Kings.
Well, it's also 5 games into the season, so let's wait till the 15 or 20 game mark before we start, getting too depressed about the Jets.
That's right. It's a loss tonight against the dreaded Toronto Maple Leafs. 4-1 was the margin of victory. The Jets next in action on Monday night to face the St. Louis Blues, a key Central Division matchup. We'll be back here at around 9:45 on Monday night with the Illegal Curve post-game show. Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and myself will be here to break down everything that happens in that game before the Jets head back out west for it's going to be a couple late nights there next week, boys. I hope you are mentally prepared for those ones where the post-game show,
we can watch the whole game. People don't understand. When it's a 6 o'clock start, I'm doing bath time around the first period. So
for himself,
what he means is the kids are bathing him. Is what
they give me. They give me my nightly sponge bath.
Yeah, kids gather around. Daddy's washing himself with a rag on a stick again. Things of that.
I'll take those late night games.
There's an image where you can all be horrified and think about as we wrap up tonight's show. Want to say thank you to all of you folks, good folks, for joining us. In case you haven't already done so, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Subscribe to the podcast wherever you choose to download podcasts. You can subscribe to us there. Leave us feedback, comments, chat, especially on the YouTube videos. Chat on the podcast. Let us know what you like. Do all these things, and of course, enter into the Illegal Curve contest to win some great merchandise. We remind you that the Illegal Curve word of the day, the secret word of the day, it's not a secret as long as you're watching the show. Rivalry is the word. To enter the word rivalry, go to the show description. Click the link. If you can't find the show description, go to our website, illegalcurve.com, click the link, enter the word rivalry. You see a whole bunch of other things to do to enter the contest. We're going to give away some more swag on Monday night after the Jets and the Blues game. So that's your job. Our job is to bring you this great content each and every Jets game, and again, every Saturday morning with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. It's been a busy day. It's been a fun day. I'm going to go say hi to my wife and make sure that I'm still allowed to sleep in the bed. Dave Minuk is in the top right. Ezra Ginsburg's in the bottom middle. I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. This has been the Illegal Curve post-game show. Until Monday night at around 9:45 p.m., we wish you good night and good luck.